Oh, I'm not talking to Phil?
You are talking
okay,
to
Phil, but I'm talking to the camera, but talking to Phil, but talking to the camera. Today, I'm gonna be making dumplings. But it's not just any dumpling, it's gonna be in the shape of a rose. So we're gonna be making our own skins, and dumpling skins are actually very easy to make. But instead of water, we're gonna be using beet juice to make it red so that it mimics the color of a rose. Now let's juice our beets. So starting with my white dough, 1 cup of flour, 1/4 cup of liquid, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of oil. If your dough seems a little dry, you can add a little bit more water. So this is what it should look like. Shouldn't stick at all to your hands. And what we're gonna do is cover it and let it rest. And what it's gonna do is kind of relax the glutens to become super elastic. So you want like a chewy dumpling wrapper. Moving on to our next one. To make our pink colored dough, we're gonna cut the water in half with the beet juice. When you make your lighter colored dough, you really wanna be careful how much beet juice you use because a little goes a long way. So pretty. For the filling, I'm doing a pork and kimchi filling. It's basically pork, kimchi, some onion, zucchini, chives, tofu, and garlic, and a little bit of seasoning. So I'm gonna fine chop my zucchini and then salt it and let it sit for about 5 minutes to draw out the moisture. I'm gonna use half the onion, actually. So after a few minutes, the zucchini will get very wilted. You can see there's a lot of excess liquid that draws out of the zucchini. And to draw out a little bit more of the moisture, I'm just gonna squeeze it. I'm using firm tofu, and you kind of want to do the same thing as the zucchini. You want to squeeze out all the excess liquid. Okay, so now that we have all of our vegetables prepped, we're gonna add it straight to the ground pork. After you mix it a little bit, we're gonna add our seasonings, starting with fish sauce, sesame oil, soy sauce, and some cornstarch to bind it all together, a little bit of salt for seasoning. After it's well incorporated, we're gonna let this sit for a little bit before we form our dumplings. So, our dough. You can see after it's rested, it's become much more smooth and elastic. You see that? So I'm using a pasta machine to roll out my dumpling skins, but you totally can use a rolling pin. I just feel like it's so much easier and more consistent when you use a pasta machine. I have 2 different ring molds. One is slightly bigger, and I'm just gonna start cutting out my dumpling shells. Just to make sure it doesn't stick, I'm gonna dip it in a little bit of flour and then start cutting out like so. So pretty. Now we're just gonna let this steam for about 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, long-awaited moment of truth, the final reveal. Ta-da! Oh my god, that's gorgeous. Would you rather get real roses or a rose dumpling that you can eat? I'd say this. Mmm. Most delicious rose I've ever had.